The budget is underway, $3.5 trillion, and the infrastructure bill snowed under. We would have spent a lot of time talking about this as well. Passed in the Senate 69-30, so 19 different Republican senators ended up supporting the Joe Biden-driven infrastructure bill.
There's not enough political will to fight against Santa Claus. When the goodie bag of federal spending is opened up, even Republicans decide, you know what, I might as well get some if everyone's getting some. And very few are willing to say the long-term projections about what it will mean for our economy. Not even that long-term, by the way. I mean, inflation is already kicking in.
That's
now.
right.
And the thing about inflation you look at historically, when it starts to happen, the government always says, oh, it's not going to be that bad. And then it tends to get a lot worse. And then it reaches a point where they say, wow, we're not actually particularly good at trying to control or handle this. You know, let's just hope for the best. I'm very concerned about that, but right now there's not the political will, nor are there the votes. I mean, I hate it. The truest thing that Obama ever said or is credited with saying is, you know, elections have consequences. And Clay, I hate to be that guy, but we needed to win one of those two Georgia Senate seats.
Yeah, that's what's so frustrating about this is it's not even the presidential election, right? Which is frustrating in its own right. But then you got double Senate races in Georgia. All you have to do is win one out of those two. And, I mean, just think about trillions of dollars less are going to be spent. You know, people talk about how much Senate campaigns cost and how much electoral races end up costing. That race, those two races in Georgia, in terms of money being spent, tax increases being passed, all of that, trillions of dollars at stake, and Republicans lost both.
This is also an end run, in a sense, on the system we actually have, because a lot of what is getting included, so we have to remember there's the infrastructure piece and the budget bill, right? These are two separate things. The infrastructure piece that the Republicans have voted for is mostly what you'd consider to be infrastructure, right? In some capacity. There are some things about, you know,
it's
broadband,
broadly
internet,
defined, but yes.
It's broadly defined, but a lot of, you know, there is roads and bridges money. And how will it be spent? Will it be efficient? No, it will not be efficient. Will there be tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse? Yes, there will. Okay, we know all of that. But the part of it that should be even more concerning is in this budget bill, which they're going to just push through with reconciliation by really these lawyerly tricks of pretending that anything that touches on the budget can be part of a budget reconciliation maneuver, even if it's a tenuous connection. Things like amnesty. Oh, yeah, well, that means there'll be more people on the welfare roll, so that's a budget issue now. I mean, that's their actual, that's their actual
No,
point.
that's the argument.
That's the argument they're making. They're trying to legislate without the actual majorities, without the actual will of the people behind them to do it. The Democrats are trying to sneak through their agenda with a razor-thin margin in the House, a 50-50 Senate, and they think now is the time, after we spent, $5 trillion deeper into the hole last year, now is the time to pass not only an enormous spending package, but tremendous tax increases, all kinds of regulation. I mean, Clay, this bill is thousands of pages. We're going to have to go through this thing and look into it in detail to see what's really in there. But what it just becomes is a Trojan horse for the leftist agenda of the Democrats that's hidden in the actual pages of a bill that nobody's going to read that they call spending.
And by the way, it's also set up to be retroactive, which I can't believe more people aren't talking about, which means that whatever tax you are paying in 2020, it isn't going to be the tax that the tax you're paying in 2021. You don't even know what it is yet, right? For everybody out there who runs businesses and is trying to figure out, hey, what is our budget going to be? What's our cost structure going to be? Who can we hire? What can we afford? You don't even know what your tax rates are going to be on a corporate tax level. If you have capital gains, let's say you're selling a home like a lot of people are out there, you don't know what your capital gains cost basis are going to be, what sort of dollars you are going to owe. I mean, it's madness. And speaking of madness, by the way, we've been talking about this Andrew Cuomo news. I put up a poll question. 10,000 of you have voted in the first 20 minutes. Do you think Andrew Cuomo will ever run for political office again? Yesterday or the day before, I don't know. I think it was yesterday. I floated, Buck, the idea that, to me, what politicians, the only thing they care about is their electoral viability, right? basically whatever makes it more likely that they can have power, that they can win election, they're going to do. And I felt like Andrew Cuomo was getting painted into a corner and that he might resign, not to ride off into the sunset and be done, but that he was going to come back and run again, potentially against Letitia James, the woman who conducted this investigation as the New York Attorney General, and they might go head to head. Right now, 63% of you think Andrew Cuomo will never run for political office again. 37% of you think he will. I think he will. Do you think he'll run again, Buck?
No.
You think he's done?
I think I'll have to hedge just insofar as saying he will never win again. Would he run again? I don't think so, but I don't think I wouldn't put that in my view of absolute crazy town. But could he win statewide in New York again? I mean, like, could Elliot Spitzer win statewide in New York after no, that guy was toast and his political career was over forever. Although CNN did hire him and give him a show. It was a very bad show, but then again, so are pretty much all shows at CNN.
But think about Bill Clinton. I know Bill Clinton didn't resign, but if Bill Clinton could have run for office again in 2000, I think he would have won. Even with the Monica Lewinsky intern scandal, even with lying under oath. But the
resignation it's a little bit like an admission of guilt in politics. I mean, he can say it's not, but this is why I think, first, there's no way, and we'll come back into this, there was no way his first speech was an I'm going to resign speech. No way. We heard it, we saw it.
Last week, 100%. He was going to fight. Yes.
So clearly he thought that he could dig in and win, and it was the Democrats in the State House in New York who weren't just saying, because, oftentimes the game is you say, oh, so-and-so has to resign, and then a couple of weeks passed, and it's like, he's doing a good job, we'll let it go. They weren't willing to do that this time. I'd be fascinated, and Clay, I'll be making calls and reaching out to sources to try to find out, what was it really? Like, why did they decide that this time, remember, sending your grandma to nursing home to die? Not enough for Democrats in the state of New York.
They even lifted the DOJ investigation on that.
Not enough for them to get so exercised about it that they would impeach him over it. By the way, I find that far more impeachable, which is the other part of this why I feel like I'm living in the crazy world here, my friend, but it is American politics. So we'll come back into this in just a moment. Plus, we do have Rand Paul joining us, top of the third hour, all things COVID, the mask mandates. Fauci wants vaccine mandates. I swear, I hate Fauci more with every passing day, but we'll talk about it.
You're exactly right. That's a position we should take. Unfortunately, some Republican senators chose to go along with this so-called infrastructure bill. I mean, Maria, when have you ever seen an infrastructure bill that had the word equity in it over 60 times? That tells you this 1.2 trillion or whatever it is not really infrastructure. And now we got the 3.5 or whatever that's going to be coming after. Again, this is all part of the Democrats' ridiculous economic plan. Here's their economic plan. Lock down your economy, spend like crazy, pay people not to work. And oh, by the way, for all you Americans who've been working hard, we're going to raise your taxes. Those are four stupid ideas. That's the crazy economic plan. And the idea that you had Republican senators go along with some of this makes no sense to me.
Jim Jordan with a double-leg takedown and a half Nelson of the Democrat spending spree. Thank you. I did a little wrestling back in the day.
Did you really?
Oh, I did, yeah. Actually, that was pretty good for whatever it's worth. Welcome to the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show. Waiting for you to upset our wrestling fans.
No,
like you did our soccer fans, Travis.
You did soccer, I knew. I didn't know you did wrestling, too.
Did a little boxing, did a little wrestling. Gotta be able to deal with the commies boxing when they get a little out of line.
In school?
No, I was at a program called Saturday Morning Boys in New York City at the New York Athletic Club.
Yeah, we actually do that. My wife, has a pro boxing fight to her credit.
That's amazing, by the way. Does that ever creep up in the back of your mind when she's like, hey, we're going to this restaurant? You're like, my wife can really throw a punch, so I'm just going to go with it. She's
1-0. She won her fight. Now she's 5'2", 105 pounds, probably. I mean, that's a rough approximation. I will tell you that the true athlete of the Sexton family is my mother, Mrs. Sexton, who was a professional ballet dancer at one of the top companies in the country. That's a pretty big deal.
Pound for pound, gymnasts and ballet dancers among the strongest people you'll ever find. They actually studied this. Yeah,
no doubt. That is props to Mrs. Sexton. I didn't know that. So we actually have a boxing trainer that we work out with twice a week. So I go like this early this morning. I did 7 rounds.
Is it like Taibo, or do you guys actually hit the bags? You know what I mean?
No, it's boxing. It's. I mean, this is a professional boxing trainer. So I mean, I'm not getting hit back. So it's not like I'm sparring, which is yeah. I'm throwing punches.
That's the one thing about boxing that I learned the hard way is you can enjoy other sports when you lose. Like I've lost, basketball games.
Yes.
I've played in tennis matches, and you're like, good. That
was a good experience.
It was a good experience. We fought hard. You lose in boxing, and you're like, I don't know if I want to do this again. Like that wasn't cool. That wasn't fun.
It's also. I mean, there's something definitely crystallizing about somebody being able to hit you. And
when you're
difference.
tired, by the way, you're already tired, and then you're getting hit. Same thing's true in wrestling, though. If you get slammed to the canvas, which is also happening. I guess it's not really canvas, but you get what I mean. That's in the WWE. To the mat. There we go. But Clay, I wanted to bring us in with the Jim Jordan comment, just because. It's amazing. Democrats, it's 50-50 in the Senate. It's a tiny majority in the House. Joe Biden, it just feels like this guy is barely even there. And they know how to work the system. They know every trick in the book. And that's what they're doing right now with this massive spending bill. They're getting through their agenda just using the power of the purse instead of actual legislation.